All righty, what's going on, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We're joined by producer Patrick Seatman for our good old Monday live show, as we always go live around this time. So make sure you guys are subscribed and have your notifications on if you're watching this as this video is added to the channel. What up, everybody? Did not get to have a live show last week. Was a little bit under the weather. Feeling much better, though. Ready to talk some New York Giants football. We got a lot to talk about when it pertains to Saquon Barkley. I mean, he spoke to the media yesterday, and he did a whole lot of talking. So we're going to break down what Saquon had to say, and then we're going to potentially talk about some Saquon Barkley replacements if he is, in fact, serious about sitting out the 2023 NFL season. And then we're going to have a mailbag to close out today's show. We'll be answering your questions about whatever you guys want to ask about. Let's get the comment section going, though, as we always do. Let's get a real one roll call. If you're a real one, you bleed orange and blue. Blue and red. Not orange and blue. That's New York Knicks. If you bleed orange, Jesus Christ. If you bleed red and blue, I need you to type real one down in the comment section. If you love the channel, you rep the New York Giants, let's get a real one roll call. Everyone that types real one, we're giving you a shout-out on today's show. Shout-out to Corinne. Corinne is the definition of a Giants Now real one. What up, Mama Do? What up, Aiden? See some real ones in the chat. We did already get our first super chat of the day. Shout out to my man, Ant Ben Rod 99. Pretty sure my man is a Heat fan, so he might be down bad right now. True. He says, I hate to say this. If Saquon don't want to sign, we should pick up Dalvin Cooks. My fear about Dalvin Cook is that he's cooked. And Seeps, you're a Vikings fan. You got to watch every snap about good old Dalvin. What's the deal with him, man?
Just the consistency isn't there anymore with Dalvin. Like, if you look at his stats and everything, you don't really see any sort of, like, more intense decline. But he's a home run hitter at this point. Like, it's either an 80-yard touchdown with him or he's getting stopped at that line of scrimmage. He doesn't really fall forward too often anymore. And plus, the report that just came out was Dalvin wants to sign a pretty significant deal. So, I mean, I don't know. If the Giants aren't willing to pay Saquon, why would they kind of be willing to pay Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, it's just an easy name to throw out there, right? Yeah. He's probably the top running back or is the top running back left in NFL free agency. Giants may need to go out and sign a running back if Saquon Barkley is serious about not playing in the season. So, I don't know. Like my man Joseph said, Saquon keeps on going back to the term respect. He just wants respect. And I agree with what Joseph says. You get paid by the market. I mean, it's a sticky situation. We were talking about it before the show started. Running backs are just not in a good spot right now in the way the NFL is working out.
No, and, we saw David Montgomery and Jamal Williams. I think what Monty was like around $7-8 million. I thought Monty would have gotten 10 to 12 heading into it. Like, seems like every running back contract was like $2 to $3 million less per year than what those guys probably anticipated.
It was interesting, and I don't think that if you asked me last week, I said I for sure thought a deal would get done by the July 17th deadline. I'm less confident now after hearing Saquon Barkley talk to the media, especially when he brought up the idea about holding out. So I want to ask you guys this question. Will Saquon Barkley play week 1 for the New York Football Giants, or is he going to pull a Le'Veon Bell and actually sit out the season? I don't envision a world where Saquon Barkley would do that. It didn't work for Le'Veon Bell. It's not going to work for Saquon Barkley. I think he is going to play. I think it'd be kind of dumb not to play. I mean, as a running back, you only have X amount of years in the NFL to play ball and earn money. And while Saquon Barkley has earned a lot of money due to being the second overall pick in that 2018 NFL draft, he's not really he can't really say I need this money to survive because you've already been I think you might be the highest paid running back in career earnings in the National Football League. I would say yes. I think Saquon Barkley is going to play week 1. I'm hoping a long-term deal gets done. But I think Joe Schoen is handling this beautifully. Seeps, that's what your GM's supposed to do. They're supposed to worry about the New York Giants, not the New York Barkleys.
And plus, Saquon wants to sit out a year. We already know the shelf life for running backs is already way smaller than it is for any other position in the NFL. I find it hard to believe Saquon's gonna waste of a year of his prime. Probably he's got, 2 to 3 years left of a prime for Saquon. Like, will he waste one kind of sitting out? I just doubt it.
And pass up $10.1 million guaranteed.
That's also
once he signs that franchise tag, he's getting $10 million.
It sounds like the franchise tag is like $4 million or something like that. Like $10 million. That's still a lot.
One of my favorite Giants content creators, my guy Authentic, he's on Twitter and YouTube. Check him out. He put a good little thought out there. One of Saquon Barkley's quotes was, "I want to retire a Giant, and I don't want to reset the market. Kind of, it's up to the Giants," which he kind of poked around and said, maybe the Giants are offering him a short-term deal, and he wants a long-term deal. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But, why would the Giants give him a long guaranteed deal? That's just not smart business. You don't pay someone in the NFL for what they did. You pay them for what they can and will do. And how many more great years are left of Barkley? I think he's got 2-3 more great years, but is that worth kind of hindering the rest of your team? I don't know.
And you never want to say it, but one more injury to a running back.
Oh, he's done.
Yeah, your career's over. It's a gamble.
It absolutely is. My guy Jack comes in, though, with a $20 super chat. Jack, what's up, homie? Good to see you, man. I'm already missing my New York Knicks. He says, "Let's go, Giants." What's good, Martian Seeps? How we doing?
Jack.
We're hanging in there, man. We're here, middle of June.
The dog days.
The dog days of the NFL offseason, and we're still here, getting you guys content every day. My man, I hope all is well. You better be there tomorrow, as we're back on Knicks Live tomorrow, and we got some juice to talk about around the Knicks. It's really about to heat up. Are they going to trade up, get in the draft? Are they going to trade Randall? A lot of stuff to talk about with the Knicks. I am excited for tomorrow's show. But that's tomorrow. Today, we're talking New York Football Giants. And if you want the show to start, I need you guys to hit that thumbs up icon. We got 112 people watching right now as we start to get rolling in today's show. Jack will probably be live around this time tomorrow as well. Probably this time tomorrow. Hit that thumbs up icon, though. Let's get up to 50 likes. Once we get to 50 likes, we're going to get rolling on today's show. We're talking Saquon. We got quotes. We got everything you need to know about Saquon Barkley. We're going to break that down. Then we're going to take a look at some potential replacements for Barkley. And Seeps, the ones that are out there are not very good.
No, they're not good. That's what kind of when we were talking about before we hopped on. If we were both GMs and how I would treat the running back position, just draft one day 2 or day 3 every single year. Keep the legs fresh because, we'll show you guys right now. The free agent market, there's some notable names, some really notable names in this kind of list that Marsh put together, but they just might all be cooked.
Yeah. They're not good. They're not good. And sad to say, one injury away, and Saquon Barkley joins that list. That's why it's risky. Paying a running back is risky, and I love Saquon. But I don't love Saquon more than I love the New York Giants, and I know that paying a running back long term can hinder the future of a franchise. Kind of wild. My man Moonfits says, "I have a question since I just bought a Saquon jersey, and I'll cry if he leaves. What percent do I think he is leaving? I don't think Saquon Barkley is leaving this year. I think there's a 99.9% chance that Saquon Barkley suits up for the New York Giants. But if we're talking about the 2024 season and beyond, I don't feel too good about that.
Yeah.
That's just my take at the current moment. All righty, we are going to do a mailbag coming up in about 20 minutes or so. If you want to be featured on the mailbag, go ahead and use hashtag Giants or Super Chat down in the comment section. Just one mailbag for today's video. Still want to be able to answer questions from all you guys and girls out there. So if you have a question, you can ask about Saquon, but I'd like to mix up the questions a little bit. We don't got to ask about Saquon all the time. Minicamp is opening up. I think it's the 13th. Might be tomorrow. Minicamp this week, though. Saquon Barkley will not be at that. You can ask about training camp. You can ask about who's going to win this position battle. You can ask about absolutely anything. So go down, ask your questions, or go ahead and super chat. That'll guarantee your spot here.
Do you know, is minicamp always only shells, or do they ever put
Yeah,
on the...
for the most part, it is. Giants minicamp, I actually want to double check that.
I'm curious, how much they really get ramped up at minicamp, even though it is,
Training camp is when it starts to really heat up.
Yeah.
For the Giants, minicamp opens up this week, yes. June 13th, yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first day, and that's mandatory minicamp. And that'll be, I guess, the start of Saquon Barkley's holdout.
Is there any other players that are you expecting not to be there? Is it only Saquon?
No, I think everyone will be there, and that's what they pretty much had at OTAs, which wrapped up at the late part of May and early part of June. They, outside of Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, who were training down in Miami for a little bit, they had perfect attendance. So they're in a good spot roster construction-wise, and that's why I fully trust in Joe Schoen. I think he's going to get it done, and I like the way he's handling the Saquon Barkley situation. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Saquon and everything he had to say about his contract with the Giants. Could Saquon Barkley be sitting out the 2023 NFL season? We're going to break it down in today's show. We're going to go over all the quotes that Barkley had when he sat down with the media at a youth camp that he held over the weekend. We're going to talk about what he had to say, and he seemed frustrated about his future with the New York Giants. He kept on alluding to the fact that he doesn't want to be the highest paid running back in the NFL, but he wants respect. So we're going to talk about it. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We'd appreciate it if you could share this video to all of your Giants friends out there. The way you can do that is by clicking the share button down below. Select the Twitter icon. And if you click and post to Twitter and tag me at @MarshallGreen_, I'm going to give you a retweet, I'm going to give you a follow back, and I'll give you a shout out here on the channel later on in the week. The reason we're doing this is we're 30 subscribers away from getting to 29,000 subs. So tell a friend to subscribe and share today's show. All right, this is what Barkley had to say. We got a whole bunch of quotes that we will go through. Barkley was asked about sitting out the 2023 season if a deal does not get done and if he's going to play on the franchise tag. And he said, I think that's a conversation. Like you said, that's a card I could play. That comes up in conversations if something doesn't get done by the July 17th deadline. And we got a little bit of time in between there. So when that date comes, then I'll have to sit down with my team and my family and make decisions. See what's going on and what we're going to do. What's the game plan? What's the next move? For me, it's like we got until July 17th. They can say what they want. We can say what we want. Just one day at a time. One day at a time. Now, that day does come up, and I have to sit down and have that conversation. Then I will sit down and have that conversation. We'll see what's the best plan for me to do. And it's only the right decision for Saquon Barkley and his camp and his, I would say, negotiating tactics to use that as a card. And I think this could get ugly as we get closer and closer to that July 17th deadline. What really motivation do the Giants have to get a deal done? They've offered Saquon Barkley, according to reports, which we'll talk about coming up in a second, contract after contract after contract that he has turned down. If he's trying to get back any sort of leverage, he's got to use the card and say, hey, look, I'm not playing on the tag, and if we don't get a deal done, I'm not going to play for the New York Giants this season. That's the right move to play. But you can call BS and CBS when you see it. Saquon Barkley is not sitting out football games this season. Saquon Barkley is a really smart and calculated man. He wants to be remembered as a Giant. He cares about his legacy. And sitting out a season not only would hurt his bank account and ruin the opportunity to get $10.1 million guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's also going to ruin his legacy. He's going to be known as the guy, just like Le'Veon Bell, that sat out a football season. That's just not going to happen. But I'm also not confident a deal gets done. If I had to make my prediction, I would say that Saquon Barkley ends up playing on that $10.1 million franchise tag for this season. I just don't see a way where the Giants have offered 3, 4 deals at this point, and Barkley has said none. Barkley did push back and say all the reported details of that contract are not true, and we'll talk about that coming up around the corner. But I want to get you guys involved down in the comment section early on in today's video. Does a long-term deal get done for Saquon Barkley? do he and the Giants ink a contract for multiple years at this point? Type Y for yes, type N for no. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, let me know. Does a long-term deal with Barkley get done? Saquon Barkley is using every negotiating tactic in the book, and as he should. If he's not going to do it for himself, nobody else is going to do it. He's trying to get the leverage back on his side, and I just don't know if there is any leverage for him to stand on, because the Giants, unfortunately, with the way the CBA is currently written up, they have every bit of leverage on their side. And it stinks, right? Because they own the rights to Saquon Barkley. That's why they can use the franchise tag. That's why they did use the franchise tag. Because paying a running back a multi-year contract after their rookie deal, especially one that's already gone on for 5 years, is risky. And it, unfortunately, does not look all that good for Saquon Barkley. I do want to go through this timeline right here, which is all reported, not factual, just reports. And Barkley actually pushed back on the fact that he was offered a deal during the regular season of $12.5 million per year. And then a deal after the season of $13 million per year. And then before being franchise tag, reports came out that he was offered a deal of $14 million per year. But notice, all these figures that have been reported are average annual value. None of them are guaranteed money, and that's what Saquon Barkley pretty much said is BS. Barkley said this on the reports of the reported contracts and the money that the New York Giants are offering. He says, it's misleading for sure. For those reports to come out and try to make me look like I'm greedy or whatever, that's not even close to being the truth. This one really hit home for me. He said, we say family business is family business in that facility, in that building, and I'm going to stick to that. The thing I'm frustrated most about is, like how I said, family business is family business, and then sources come out and stories get leaked and it didn't come out from me. I feel like it's trying to paint a narrative of me, a picture of me that's not even the truth. It's not even close to being true. At the end of the day, it's all about respect. That is really what it is. And I feel bad for Saquon Barkley, because if Saquon Barkley came out and, talked about the deals that the Giants gave him, he would be in the same camp that he just called the Giants. Pretty much liars and not being about what they talk about in those meetings. The Giants, for so long, have been an organization run by family. And this is the first time they hired a general manager outside of those family confines in Joe Schoen. And I'm sure Joe Schoen doesn't like that these reports have been linked. Or maybe he does. But he's got a job to do. And his job is to put the best football field on the team that wears blue and white and has New York and Giants across the chest. Not do what's best for Saquon Barkley and his future. We're the New York Giants. We're not the New York Saquon Barkleys. And Joe Schoen knows that paying a running back can and is risky. There's a reason that Dalvin Cook was just released by the Minnesota Vikings. There's a reason that Aaron Jones had to take a $5 million pay cut this year to stay with the Green Bay Packers. There is a reason that the Dallas Cowboys cut Ezekiel Elliott. There is a reason that nobody in the NFL that had an opportunity to pay a running back this offseason did so. Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. They were all franchise tag. And Saquon brought that up. He said, everyone talks about the market, but there was no market because Pollard, Jacobs, and himself were all franchise tag. But what I would say to you is, if there's 3 teams that think that's the best option, that tells me that no team wanted to pay more than just $10 million. But I don't think it's all about per year average annual value. And I honestly don't think it's about that at all. I think it's about the guaranteed money at signing. That's what's really the hang up for Saquon Barkley. So here are what his colleagues are making. The running back that got paid the most guaranteed money at signing was Christian McCaffrey at $30 million. Derrick Henry, $25.5. But what about that? Bijan Robinson, the 3rd highest paid running back based on guaranteed money at signing. What does that tell you? Nobody wants to pay a running back because Alvin Kamara got paid less and Nick Chubb got paid less. The only reason Bijan Robinson got that money is because in the NFL draft, your first contract is based on the slot you are picked, not the position. And there's a reason why nobody likes to take running backs inside the top 10. Let's shift from money, though, to play on the field, because I don't think what Saquon Barkley said was all fair. He pretty much claimed credit for being the Giants' offense. And at times, he was. But we'd be lying if I didn't tell you the facts that Saquon Barkley wore down over the regular season. When you look at the raw stats for Saquon Barkley, they're incredible, right? Over 1,300 yards, another 300 through the air, 1,600 total, 4.4 yards per carry, and 10 touchdowns. But after week 9, where Saquon Barkley had 35 carries for 152 yards against the Houston Texans, Saquon Barkley did not go over 90 yards rushing for the rest of the season. And that includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the final 9 games of the season, Saquon Barkley did not go over 90 yards. And in the playoffs, let's be honest, Saquon Barkley wasn't the focal point of this offense. He had just 9 carries in both of those games. Did he have 2 touchdowns? Yes. Did he have a really nice touchdown run against the Minnesota Vikings? Yes. But was he touched? No. I think a lot of running backs in the NFL could have ran that touchdown in, running right behind John Feliciano up the left side. He was good in the playoffs, right? But was he irreplaceable? I don't think that to be true whatsoever. And when you talk about Saquon Barkley wearing down, the evidence is so apparent. He even got phased out of the offense a little bit, because after that game against the Houston Texans in week 9, he never got more than 18 carries in a game. And like we said, he never went over 87 yards. But in the first 9 games, he was electric, right? He had 100 yards against the Tennessee Titans. He had 100 yards against the Chicago Bears. He had 100 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had 198 carries for 931 yards in the first 9 games. But his yards per carry was 4.7, and in the final 9, it went down to 4.3. But it's not just the raw numbers. It's not just yards per carry that showed you that Saquon Barkley became less of an impact as that season went on. The first 9 games of the year, he averaged 93 yards per game. That went down to 61.9. He had 30 broken tackles in that first 9 games. He had 11 in the last 9. He had 23 runs of 10-plus yards in the first 9 games. That was cut in half to 12 in the last 9. And you see that theme go on. 15-plus yard runs, 14-7. 30-plus yard runs, 3-1. What about that run in the playoff game against the Philadelphia Eagles where he broke through and he got caught from behind? Young Saquon Barkley, 2018 Saquon Barkley, he ain't getting caught from behind. And that's okay. That's the nature of a running back. These running backs, they get better and better and better, then they plateau, then they fall off a cliff. And I'm not saying Saquon Barkley is going to fall off a cliff, but you pay someone for what they will do in future years for a contract, not what they have done. And Saquon Barkley has done a lot for the New York Giants. I own his jersey. I bought his jersey the day he was drafted. He's been one of my favorite players for a long time. But I'm going to support the name on the front of the jersey than on the back. And I know Saquon Barkley wants to be here. But I got to say it. Joe Schoen is handling this contract situation beautifully. There is no reason to rush to get a deal done. Saquon Barkley's a captain. He knows everybody on that football team. He had a camp yesterday with a whole bunch of kids, and almost every prominent New York Giant was there. He is loved in that locker room. He doesn't need to be there at OTAs. He doesn't need to be there at minicamp. He doesn't need to be there at training camp. And if the Giants were to have paid Saquon Barkley a lot of money, would you have Bobby Okereke? Would you have Darren Waller? Would you have A'Shawn Robinson, Rakeem Nunez-Roches? How are you going to re-sign Andrew Thomas? What about Xavier McKinney? What about when Azeez Ojulari's contract's up in 2 years? You got to factor all of that in, and Joe Schoen is. He is doing what is best for the New York Giants. And the Giants are at their best when Saquon Barkley's on the field and he's playing. You just got to factor in, is he worth top tier number 2? Because he said he doesn't want to be the highest paid running back in the league, but I'm sure he wants to be the second highest paid back in the league. I'm going to be honest. I would see what Saquon Barkley's trade value is, and I'm sure Joe Schoen has already had calls with multiple teams because he is going to do the best, what is best for the New York Giants, not the New York Saquon Barkley. So I want to ask you this question to close out today's show. What to do with Saquon Barkley? Should they keep him on the franchise tag? Should they give him that extension? Or should they trade them? Joe Schoen has 3 cards to play right now, and he's going to have to use one here pretty damn soon. What would you do if you were Joe Schoen with Saquon Barkley? I appreciate everybody, as always, for tuning in to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I don't want it to be misconstrued. I love Saquon. And I know the Giants are at their best when Saquon's on the field. But the Giants can still be a good football team without Saquon Barkley. He had 9 carries in the playoff game. I don't want to just say it's all Saquon Barkley like he did. So we're going to find out. July 17th, we're going to know if he's playing on the franchise tag or an extension happens. Give me a follow over on Twitter. That'll be the first place you hear about any Saquon news or rumors. Woo!
I would be typing my Fs. I think you let him play out on this franchise.
I would let him play on the franchise tag as well.
Because what trade value do you really think he has? Like, you're probably getting a third.
Yeah.
I'd probably say third.
I think if you were going to trade him, it should have been before the NFL draft.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Or what about this? You franchise tag him, and then you listen to trade calls at the NFL trade deadline. Is that the worst idea in the world? I don't think it is. I know we get attached to these players. Saquon Barkley talked about in that little sit down with the media that he's been the face of the Giants for a long time. Giants were never good under Saquon Barkley until this year. So
when was also the last time we've seen a prominent running back start and finish his career with the team? Besides maybe Derrick Henry right now, he's been a Titan his whole career, but I was really trying to think about it when you talk when was the last time we saw a running back start and finish his career?
Yeah.
It's just tough for that. It's just tough for
Vikings moved on from Adrian Peterson. Saquon Barkley ain't even close to AP.
Yeah. That was a contract thing as well. AP thought he was obviously deserved to get paid more. Vikings disagreed.
I would franchise tag him, and if he plays good again, I might franchise tag him again. Because I'd rather take a $22 million guaranteed hit over the next 2 seasons compared to paying him $29-30 million over the next 3 seasons guaranteed, and then he's bad in year 3 or an injury happens.
So the tag for next year is only $12 million?
It goes up. I think instead of the top 5 at the position, it's the top 3.
Top 3, okay.
So it goes from top 5 to top 3. Moonfit says he doesn't want money. He wants respect. He wants money. He wants guaranteed money. The word respect keeps getting used, but what he means by respect is guaranteed money.
And Saquon's talking how do you show me respect? You show me respect by giving me money. That's kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tricky situation, and I don't think we're close to the end of it, as we're not even a month away.
Karen Terry, that's interesting. The Barkley seems to think there's a conspiracy going on with all the top backs getting a franchise tag.
What's different than all the years in the past?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just such a tough position because also running back, that's the fantasy football. Also they get all the love. They get all the stats. They're the ones selling jerseys. They're the ones that are kind of more face of the team than a left tackle or a right tackle or something. But no, running backs it's the hardest position to kind of figure out in the pay in the NFL. I swear.
If the Giants could choose a life this year of no Saquon Barkley or no Andrew Thomas, they're choosing life without Saquon Barkley.
Not even close. I don't even think they would.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like how Saquon Barkley said pretty much that I've been the face of this franchise and I have respect across the league. It's bro, you're a great player. You're a great person. You're a great leader. But you play the most replaceable position in all of professional sports?
Honestly. Also, you put Andrew Thomas on the trade block. You have teams calling you for 3 first-round picks trying to go get Andrew Thomas, I guarantee you.
What games did Saquon Barkley win for the Giants this year? I think there's only one that you can really give him credit for, and it's week 1 against the Titans. But did his 72 yards against the Panthers win you that game? You didn't beat the Cowboys. You beat the Bears 20-12, and he had 146 yards, but he didn't have a touchdown. Did his 30 yards help you beat the Packers? Did his 83 yards, were those the driving fuel behind the Baltimore game? No, you were down 10-plus points in the fourth quarter. The only game that sticks out to me is week 1 and week 9 against the Houston Texans. But I believe that any running back on the Giants, if they got 35 carries, would have had 150 yards.
Yeah.
I mean.
And it's also like Marsh, how we were talking about second half of the year, he really tailed off. It's got to be so hard for these running backs to play their best football in January and February. Just because if you're getting all the carries in September and October and November, like I've always said, I want like obviously I'm a Vikings fan. I want them to be a running back by committee, just where it's in the later half of the year. They're all healthy. They're all fresh. Like
Bobby says, how far off is he from being McCaffrey? One, I don't think that there's that much difference in their games, but just because the Carolina Panthers made a bad decision doesn't mean the Giants have to make one. It's not like that's the law. We paid a running back this, so now another team's got to pay a running back that. That doesn't make any type of sense. And let's be honest. Clearly the Panthers didn't value that deal.
Yeah.
They traded him.
Like if they could go back, I guarantee you they would.
They would probably have traded him 3 years earlier.
Exactly, and gotten a whole lot more.
Everyone's like, well, Christian McCaffrey got this. So? Like, just because your friend jumped off a building and said it was cool and fun, are you going to do it? No. One bad person's mistake doesn't become law for the rest of the National Football League.
Yeah.
Gary, he does. That was the first time I thought Saquon Barkley sounded kind of arrogant. Of course he thinks he's the reason for the Giants' success. But I could make an argument that he's like the 5th most important player on this offense.
That's what the moves the Giants have made. Obviously, they need to address the pass catchers on this roster. But, I mean, Marsh, maybe you disagree, but I expect the Giants to throw the ball a lot more than they did last
hell
year.
of a lot more. Saquon Barkley had 9 carries against the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
9. Like, that's not a lot.
It almost like Dable was almost telling you like our best rushing offense is maybe with number 8 in his legs, like because I remember you guys spammed those QB powers against the Vikes a lot.
I agree, man. I agree.
It's a dangerous game.
I feel bad for Saquon, one of my favorite players. I don't think that he. I think he's got to read the room a little bit more.
Yep.
I think he's got to read the room a little bit more. My man Mike G, a.k.a. MG, best initials in the game. What's up, Brody? He says, the best in the Giants YouTube business, MG. What's up, brother? What up, bro? I don't want to ask a Saquon question, so I'll go with, does Beavers or McFadden start at the open inside linebacker spot?
What a question.
What a question for my man Mike G. Mike, hope all is well here on a good old Monday. What I'm hearing is that McFadden is really impressing at camp. Wink Martindale actually had a quote on Mike McFadden. I'm going to see if I can pull that up real quick. Bobby Okereke said he was really impressed with Micah McFadden.
Great name.
Good football name. Good football name.
Good linebacker football name as well.
So he said, this is Wink Martindale on the Giants linebackers. So it's all a competition right now. McFadden and Gerard Davis, and I'll tell you, Micah has really improved. It's fun to watch him play because of his size, his strength, but most of all, he's a good guy. He's a really intelligent kid that knows football, and it's not hard to talk football with him. So all of those things have been great, and we've just got to get ready to take the next step, which for me is vacation. Good old Wink Martindale. I'm going with McFadden to win the job over Beavers. I'm a big fan of Beavers. I liked what he gave you in the preseason last year before he had that ACL tear. But if you go back and look at McFadden, especially in college, PFF ranked him, I think, as the number 1 linebacker going into the 2022 NFL draft. I think Wink likes the fact that he's an extremely athletic linebacker, can get after the quarterback as well. Mike, good question. We'll put that up on the mailbag as well. If you want to be on the mailbag like my guy MG, you got to use #Giants or Super Chat to get on the show. All Super Chats are guaranteed to get on the show. And we're at $39 in Super Chats. If we get to 50, you want to pop off a race?
Yeah, we can pop off a race.
A little shot fun race between Seeps and me. Seeps and I, Seeps and me, Seeps and me. I will do a race. Seeps and I think.
Seeps and I. We'll keep it classy.
We'll keep it classy.
Keep it classy.
We're doing a beer shot fun race. If we get to $50 in Super Chats, we're 11 away. Corinne, has anyone heard from Melissa? No, haven't heard from Melissa. Don't know what's going on there. What's going on over there?
I think Chad Jones hit the mainstream.
Oh, mainstreamer. All righty. If you want. Classic.
But Saquon replacements now, Marsh.
Saquon replacements. Not a segment that I wanted to do on today's show, but I think it's something we have to do. Yeah. I think it's only right. So let's get into it. We'll do the mailbag in about 15 minutes. Mr. Rick says Melissa moved to Trenton. Wonder if she's all right in Trenton. Mike, should we just hit it now? We'll hit Mike's super chat now. F it. And we'll do a beer shot fun race because my man Mike G sent in a $20 super chat to get us up to $59 in soups. Mike, you're a legend, my man. And still, best initials in the game, MG. He says, got another one for you. Daniel Jones TDs passing only total for this year. What are your predictions? Passing only? Let me pull up just so I know in the past. Daniel Jones passing touchdowns. I'll ask everyone in the comments right now to give me your guesses down below. How many passing touchdowns does Daniel Jones have next year? So this past year he had 15. Then it was 10. That was in 11 games. And then in 2020, his second season, he had 11 in 2 games. But his rookie year, he had 24 in 12 games. I'm going 23. 23 passing touchdowns for Daniel Jones next year. Mike, I'm going 23 passing touchdowns for Daniel Jones. 23. Give me 23 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, another 5 on the ground. 28 total. John says 38. If Daniel Jones throws for 38 touchdowns, I'm buying his jersey. Jones throws for 38 touchdowns, I'm buying his jersey. If Jones throws for 38 touchdowns, he might be the MVP of the league. I'll say this much. If Darren Waller plays 15 games, Jones will break 20 touchdowns because Waller's going to have about 8 of them. About 8 of them. John says, get the jersey now. John, he goes north of 30, I'll get the jersey. Josh Allen 2.0. Hey, Saquon Barkley holds out the season. He'll be throwing the rock a little bit more. All righty. My man Mike, we appreciate you.
100? Are we doing it again?
Hey, if we get to $100 in Super Chats, we'll do another one. We're up to 60 already. Shout out to Mike. He's been the MVP of today's show. We'll put both these questions on the mailbag. All righty, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, baby. Oh, man. I haven't done one of those in a while, it feels like. Woo! I am in off-season mode. My man, Mr. Rick, says 6 TDs for Jones. Then Tommy DeVito takes over and throws 60.
I love it, Mr. Rick.
Mr. Rick loves some Tommy DeVito.
Hey, I will say, I don't mean to rain on your parade, Mr. Rick, but I did watch some Illinois football last year. He kind of sucks.
Hey, but he's a Giant now.
He's got New York swag at its finest.
He is the definition of a Jersey boy.
Like if he suited up for the Giants, like 100%, like he would have that extra boost kind of playing for his team. But
MG says, "How was that Bud Light?" No Bud Light. Not gonna get into it, but no Bud Light here for us here at Chat Sports.
Well, Mike, no need to bring up politics right
Yeah, come on, Mike.
Come on,
Leave the
Mike.
Politics.
Leave the
This is a sports channel.
You getting political right now, Mike?
Don't do that. No BL smoothies for us. No BL smoothies. Holy shit. He did mention beers. No, we went with a little couple happy dads. All right, we're going to start today's show. Saquon Barkley replacements. Replacements for Barkley. Just a little tease. There's not many good options. But that doesn't mean you got to overpay Saquon. You can live without him. But let's get into it. Saquon Barkley replacements. In today's show, we're going to talk about some potential Saquon Barkley replacements. Because, unless you've been living under a rock, it's not looking too good with this current contract situations with Barkley and the New York Giants. They have just over a month between the July 17th deadline, where if a long-term deal is not done, Barkley has to play on the franchise tag. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Before we get rolling, I want you guys to get involved down in the comments section. Will Saquon Barkley play week 1? I think it's a fair question because he did bring up the idea of holding out and sitting out the regular season. What do you think? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And I do know this. If and when we get a Saquon Barkley update, we're going to be getting you guys a video as soon as possible. We put out Giants videos every day here on the channel. And if and when, on July 17th, we're probably going live July 17th. If a deal has not been done, we saw it go up to the wire with the Daniel Jones deal. And I'm expecting the same. We're going to keep you up to date all the way up until the 11th hour. So hit that sub button right now. So let's start with looking at the depth chart. Because I believe if Saquon Barkley does not play for the New York Giants this season, it's most likely going to be an internal option as a replacement. And I think it's going to start between Matt Breida and Eric Gray. You also have Gary Brightwell on the roster. And you also have Jashaun Corbin, who was a UDFA back in the 2022 NFL draft out of Florida State. But the first guy that I think is going to get the attempt to be the starting running back for the Giants will be Matt Breida, who had 54 carries for the Giants last year, 220 yards, had an average yards per carry of 4.1. He also had just 1 touchdown, but he was also solid out of the backfield as a receiving threat, 20 catches for 118 yards. While I think Matt Breida will get the first crack at it, I think the guy that would become RB1 for the New York Football Giants is the 5th-round pick out of Oklahoma, Eric Gray. I am a big fan of Eric Gray. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Kareem Hunt in the sense that he's a physical runner, he's a violent runner, he's good in between the tackles, he makes the first guy miss more often than not, and he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. Last year for the Sooners, 33 catches, 229 yards, 11 total touchdowns on 213 carries for almost 1,400 yards, 6.4 yards per pop. Eric Gray would be my number 1 Saquon Barkley replacements. But if we're looking at external replacements, I think the first guy up is the one that was just cut by the Minnesota Vikings, and that is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is a free agent. He is free to sign wherever he wants, and reports are coming out that he is not going to sign a deal for less than $6 million. When you talk about why the Minnesota Vikings moved on from Dalvin Cook, it's not the raw stats. It's not the fact that he had 8 touchdowns and almost 1,200 yards. But look at the yards per carry, 5.1, 4.7, 4.4. Dalvin Cook was literally a guy that had a long run or he was stopped at the line of scrimmage. His average yards per expected are in the negative. He's a good player, not a great player. And that's why Minnesota moved on. That's why they regret giving him that contract extension. Cook might be cooked, to be quite frank with you. Is he still a good running back? Yes. Is he probably the best option on the market for the Giants? Yes. But do the Giants want to give Dalvin Cook a multi-year deal of $6, $7, $8 million annually? I don't think that they do. What about another guy that could be a Saquon Barkley replacement? And we're talking Ezekiel Elliott. Like Dalvin Cook, Zeke's not that guy anymore. Look at his yards per carry. That's probably the most telling stat of all stats for running backs. And Zeke's just posted a career low. He went from 4.5 yards per carry to 4, to 4.2, down to 3.8. Still had 12 touchdowns, but on 231 carries, the guy didn't even have 900 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, much like Dalvin Cook, is cooked. There's a reason that we are talking about Ezekiel Elliott as an NFL free agent in the middle of June. He's just not that guy anymore. And while I don't think Saquon is cooked like Zeke, I do admire the fact that the Dallas Cowboys had the internal mindset to move on from someone who was the face of that organization for quite some time. So I want to ask you, if you had to pick a running back to sign between these two guys, who would it be? Man, this would have been cool in 2018. Type EE for Ezekiel Elliott or DC for Dalvin Cook. Another guy that I would be really, really interested in if he actually wanted to come play on a reduced contract is Kareem Hunt. I'm a fan of Kareem Hunt. I like how he runs in between the tackles. I think he's a downhill runner, and I think he would fit the system for the New York Giants. One, because he's a hard runner. He breaks tackles. But two, he's a good receiving threat. Over 200 yards this past year, 4 total touchdowns. But look at the yards per carry, 3.8. And you can't say he played behind a bad offensive line because it's the same line that Nick Chubb played behind. Good player, not a great player anymore. Someone, though, that the Giants may have to look at if Barkley holds out. Another guy that I can't believe is a free agent at this point in his NFL career is Kenyan Drake. I liked Kenyan Drake a whole lot coming out of Alabama. And I actually think he has the most gas left in the tank among the players pictured. When you talk about what he's done, he has the least mileage, that's for sure. Just 172 carries over the last 2 seasons. But this last year in Baltimore, he had some spunk, and he actually tore up the New York Giants when they played against him in that game that Kayvon Thibodeau had the game-winning strip sack against Lamar Jackson. 109 carries this year for Drake, 482 yards, 4.4 yards per tote. I can get behind that. And he also had 4 touchdowns. But the reason I like Drake the most is he's also good out of the backfield. In the last 4 years, Drake has 122 receptions for 862 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's a guy that would fit really well in a Mike Kafka offense. We have a couple more running back options to talk about if Barkley does hold out and the Giants need a replacement. But first, we got an awesome deal for you guys out there. Last week, we were telling you about a deal where you can get 2 T-shirts for $29. Now, we're talking about a hat and a T-shirt for $23.99. You can't beat that right there. Go to chatsports.com/Giants hat combo. Chatsports.com/Giants hat combo. This deal isn't going to last forever, especially not at that number. So go down in the comments section and click this link and get to shopping. The last running back we're going to talk about in today's video as a potential Barkley replacement is Leonard Fournette. Playoff Lenny? Lombardi Lenny? He's just not that guy anymore. Notice that every running back stat that we have showed you outside of Dalvin Cook and Kenyan Drake, their yards per carry start with a 3. And when that's the thing, when you don't average more than 3.9 yards per carry, you're going to be a free agent late in June. And all of these guys are. What I do like about Leonard Fournette is, though, he can run in between the tackles. And I don't know if it's because of the Tom Brady effect. The guy has a lot of catches out of the backfield as well. 73 catches last year for 523 yards. But as cool as all of these running backs would have been in 2020, it's 2023. None of these options are appealing. But just because the options outside of the Giants are not appealing, that does not mean that I have to give Saquon Barkley a deal that I, Joe Schoen, deem as not valuable. I'm not going to let Saquon Barkley back me into a corner. You trust the process. You trust Matt Breida, and you trust Eric Gray. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to sign any of those running backs. But if I had to pick one, it would be Kenyan Drake, and I wouldn't feel all that good about that. So I want you guys to name a running back you want the Giants to add. We've talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I don't know. He's so bad, I don't even know exactly how to say his name. But maybe you want a guy out there. Let me know. A running back you want the Giants to add via a trade or free agent if Barkley does hold out for the entire season. If no Saquon Barkley, make Eric Gray the lead back. He was drafted in the 5th round. The kid's got juice. He's got some speed. He's got some ability to make you miss inside the tackle box. I think he's a hard runner. And the broken tackles in college show that. He was one of the country's leading runners when it comes to 15-plus yard runs. Give him the ball. Let's work. And let this offense go to work. Are you going to be as good as you are without Saquon Barkley? No. Do I think this even becomes an opportunity? No. I believe Saquon Barkley is either A, going to play on the franchise tag, or B, he signs a long-term deal with the Giants. I do not envision a world where Saquon Barkley says, no, I don't want $10.1 million to play one season in the NFL. I do know this. If more news and rumors come out around Saquon Barkley, you can find out over on my Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. I'm tweeting about the Giants all day, every day over there. So go over there, give me a follow, and let's talk some ball.
Not a lot of good options. Not a lot of good options on the market. Like that is terrible. Oh,
Eric Gray season. Give me Eric Gray.
I know. Eric Gray has to be the option here. I mean, who says Eric Gray in his rookie year can handle a massive workload anyways? Like, why not me? Why can't I be the youngest MVP?
If I were MVP, if I was Joe Schoen, I would see what Saquon Barkley is. First off, I do everything I can to get a long-term deal done. But I do the deal that's best for the Giants, not for Saquon Barkley. Giants, do they need Barkley? Need is a strong word. I agree. Mr. Rick says pay the guy. I agree. But I'm not paying you for what you did.
Yeah.
I'm paying you for what you can do. Because if Saquon wants to play the card of, you got to pay me for what I did, what about all the games you missed?
Yeah.
Like that's fair for the Giants to say if Saquon's going to say that. I believe the Giants are better off with Saquon Barkley. But I don't want that to prohibit the moves they can make down the line. Because I don't think he's more valuable. I know a lot of people are going to hate this, but I don't think that Saquon Barkley is more valuable than Daniel Jones. I don't think that Saquon Barkley is more valuable than Andrew Thomas.
Definitely not him.
I mean, like, I don't know. I think $10 million is fair. Like, I don't know.
This is what I would do. I would call in Saquon to my office, him and his agent, sit them down, sweet talk him a little bit, show him some highlights from this past season, be like, listen, dude, you are a stud. We love you. Hand him the contract offer. 3 years, $24 million, all guaranteed, every penny. They're going to look at you a little weird. Say, you think about that. Be like, I have another videotape to show you. Show him Eric Gray highlights. Say, like, you say no to this, here's the face of the franchise right now. That's what
that was hilarious.
That's how I would play it.
3 years, $24 million, all guaranteed.
He can have every penny.
So,
$8 million a year, all guaranteed. He says no. All right, Eric Gray.
Hey, we're gonna see what a deal's gonna look like. I would love to know the guaranteed money the Giants have offered him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Zolchinski's right. Eric Gray is going to be a Giants fan favorite.
Yeah.
He knows. He watched him at practice.
Yeah, his highlights are disgusting.
Chinsky, do you got faith? Do you got faith in Eric Gray if he's RB1? Do you got faith in Eric Gray as RB1, Chinsky? Or does he need a year? Does he need a year? Can you get him on the show, bro? You pretty much watched him practice every day at OU. Can you get him on the show, Chinsky? Let me know. As Gilly came in with a $5 super chat. Gilly, what up? Says Saquon will play because if we beat the Cowboys without him, he loses all leverage. Also, F the Cowboys. It's a good point. But what about this, Gilly? What if you go out and get curb stomped by the Cowboys?
What if you
then he says, hey, you need me.
You go out there, you run for 15 carries for 37 yards as a team.
I don't see a world where Saquon Barkley misses games.
Why would, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't benefit him at all.
It's $10 million. Yeah, no, look, I understand both sides. I want to keep him, but I want to do what's best for the Giants. And I think there is a ground where they can get that done. I think there is a middle ground. I do.
What about 4 for 32? I'll say 28 guaranteed.
So the contract that I said in a video a while ago, let me see. I just don't see why he would accept a deal of less than $23 million over the first 2 seasons. Because if he plays on the franchise tag, it's $10 million. And if he plays on the franchise next year, rough math, it's about $12 million.
Mike,
maybe he wants that long-term stability, though.
Yeah. I mean, if he says what he wants to do, he doesn't want to reset the market, and he wants to be a New York Giant for life. More years, not as much annually.
The deal I had, which might be too much at this point. This was like a couple months ago. I had 3 years, $42 million, 28 guaranteed.
Okay.
So that means it's $14 million per, and I'm making the first 2 guaranteed.
Okay.
The last year is not guaranteed. So
I like that. I mean, maybe bump that down to 12 right now.
Yeah, maybe you bump it down to 12. I think Saquon Barkley wants a deal and guaranteed money that is more than the franchise tag in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Because, like, what's the point?
Because then he would just play on the tag.
But my counter to that would be, what happens if Saquon Barkley plays on the tag this year and, God forbid, knock it on a table of wood, he tears his ACL in week 16. The Giants aren't franchising for next year.
No, and then
you lost out on money.
And then his career is necessarily over.
Yeah.
It's all so interesting. Like the running back position, like I don't know, or maybe during the negotiation trick with Saquon, you're like, Saquon, we love you, man. You did so good. And then it's like, hey, hit the video. And then he thinks it's gonna be Saquon highlights, and you just hit him with Eric Gray and Matt Breida highlights. You just gotta play mind games there.
Oh man.
I wonder, what do you think Dable? Like, what do you think Dable's telling? Because obviously, I feel like they have a good relationship.
Yeah.
Like, do you think Dable, like, is he saying like, don't overreact to this, we will manage, or do you think Dable's kind of like, no, we need him in this offense? I feel like Dable thinks they'll be fine. At least that's just with my gut and just like who I think Dable is.
I'm sure this is the type of guy Dable I think is. He's like, I'd love to have him. I'd love to have him back. He's a great player. We're better for him. But life's not over if we don't bring it back.
Yeah.
I feel like Dable's like, I can cook up an offense without Saquon Barkley.
Like, we'll be able to run the football with or without him.
Yeah. Where did you find those yards over expected stats? I couldn't find any for Saquon this year.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter a very long time ago.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I think they're from ESPN's Next Gen stats.
Yeah. I don't know. We are going to finish today's show with a mailbag. If you have super chatted, you'll be on the mailbag if it does pertain to the New York Football Giants. If you want to get on the show, go ahead and use hashtag Giants. We're kind of low on questions, and I want to talk about something other than Saquon Barkley. So if you want to be featured on the show, hashtag Giants or super chat, you could ask about Barkley if you really want to. We've already done 2 segments on him in today's show, but I appreciate it if you guys did go ahead and drop some questions down in the comment section. Just make sure to use hashtag Giants. That way Seeps could pull it up. My man Rob Jigga. What up, Rob? He says, hello, guys. Sorry late to the party. Work sucks. Hope you saved me some drinks. We already did one. We did one beer shop fun. We're $35 away from another beer shop fun race. We're 35 away. My guy Ish got a question. He says, I don't think we can replace our performance from last year without him. He was arrogant, but is he wrong? He was the main point. Not a bad question. Moonfit says, when Eric Gray said, I'm going to give you all I got, I knew he would. That's funny. Rob says, just got here. Any news of an extension for McKinney? No, I have not heard any news on an extension for Xavier McKinney. I did hear earlier in the offseason, though, that McKinney was not technically asking for an extension. The Giants know that he wants one, but when you fall off an ATV in Mexico during the bye week and you're forced to miss 8 games, you're probably going to have to play another season before you get an extension.
That's a tough sell for his agent at that table.
Hey, I know he's been good. We want a long-term deal for McKinney.
The Giants are like, listen, we just can't trust the guy.
He's going to have to play one more year. Giants have a good problem to have. It's never a problem having to pay good players. They already paid Dexter Lawrence. They Still got to pay Saquon. They still got to pay Andrew Thomas, Xavier McKinney. Dory Jackson's a free agent after this year.
And I'm happy they took care of Dexter Lawrence because he's probably the best player out of all. Like, at his position. Not Andrew Thomas, probably, but.
He's a year more into the league than Andrew Thomas. But, yeah, I think Andrew Thomas is next. After this year, I would expect Andrew Thomas to be a top 5 highest paid tackle in the NFL.
Hey, Rod Jigga, speaking about that new Madden, you see that sideways throw bullshit that they're releasing on the game?
Madden blows these days.
Madden has gone down the gutter.
Oh, man. What up, Bill? You got all the real ones coming in the chat. Everyone's popping in. All righty. We're going to start and close the mailbag today. We're going to close with the mailbag. Bill says, yeah, his hand's still not 100%, which is, I don't know if it ever will be. Feel bad for him. Really does stink. All right, we're going to close out the show with the mailbag. Hashtag Giants or Super Chat to get on the show. Let's roll. Welcome into Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel because we're about to get into a mailbag where questions are only allowed from subscribers. So if your question didn't get answered, probably your fault. You're not subscribed. So go down right now, hit that big red sub button, help us get to 30,000 subs. We're going to start today's show with a $10 super chat. Mr. Rick, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. He says, anything about Jones balking at John Michael Schmitz wanting to use a dead snap? Saturday, Peyton did it for years. I don't think that there's a problem with the way that John Michael Schmitz is going to snap the football. And I remember seeing an article, or it was a quote, of Daniel Jones saying he doesn't care. All it is just the difference between the ball coming horizontally or vertically. And while that may seem like a big problem, it's just not. What I would want to say is whatever is going to have John Michael Schmitz be the best football player he can be, that's the way he's going to snap. Because if he is so used to grabbing the football like so, vertically, and snapping it like that, he's used to getting his hands in a certain spot as well and working his feet in between those spots. Whereas if he has to change it vertically, his hands now come up a different way. Whatever way John Michael Schmitz wants to snap the football that's going to make him the best player possible, Daniel Jones is going to want that. I'm going to want that. The Giants are going to want that. And you are going to want that. I like that you brought up the Jeff Saturday and Peyton type of thing. Look, all it takes is one practice for Daniel Jones to be able to catch the football coming in horizontally instead of with a spiral and vertically. I think they'll be fine. I think John Michael Schmitz should be allowed and will be allowed to snap the ball whichever way he wants. Mr. Rick, we appreciate you, my man. We did get a question from my man. Giants will win the 2024 Super Bowl. What a name. Speak it into existence. I love it. He says, I've seen some sites talk about a Davante Adams Giants trade. Is it possible? I guess anything is technically possible. And I saw the article you're talking about. Bleacher Report I think it was last week or the week before, talked about the Giants being a destination for Davante Adams. No, I don't think that it's likely. But if Jimmy Garoppolo is really hurt and he starts to play bad, or maybe he doesn't start the season healthy, and we get to the trade deadline, and let's say the Raiders are 2-6, 2-7, whatever week the trade deadline is, I'm not ruling out a trade deadline move for Davante Adams and the Raiders. Not saying the Giants could be that team, not saying they can't either, but I don't think it's the end of the world to think that the Raiders could trade Davante Adams if their season starts to go off the rails. One, the Raiders are not a good football team. Two, Jimmy Garoppolo is not a good quarterback. Three, Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels are not good head coaches or general managers. The Raiders have no direction, but what they do have is the best wide receiver in the National Football League. You saw the stats on screen. He would be an immediate upgrade, an immediate difference maker for the Giants. You're probably going to have to give up a first-round pick and maybe a third-round pick if you do want Davante Adams. He's the best receiver in the National Football League. But no, I don't think the Giants are going to trade for him this offseason. And no, I don't really think they're going to trade for him at the trade deadline. But the percentage between now and the trade deadline does go up a little bit. I do want to ask this question, though, because you know your boy, Patrick Seatman, producer Seeps, big Minnesota Vikings fan, always telling me that Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL. And he's just not. Is it him or Devontae Adams? Or is it someone else? Name the best wide receiver in the NFL down below. My man Daniel Brothers, what's up, homie? Marsh, my guy. Appreciate the super chat, Brody. My friend actually thinks Brock Purdy is better than Daniel Jones. Can you enlighten him for me? Look, it just, I don't have much to say about this. Brock Purdy, he's a cool story. He's a smart kid. He's a solid quarterback. But if you would have replaced Brock Purdy and Daniel Jones this year, the 49ers may have been holding up the Lombardi trophy. And I don't think the Giants would have made the playoffs. Is he a scrub? No. Is he good? No. But I'm not saying he's bad. But I wouldn't want him to be my quarterback, and I'm taking Daniel Jones all day over Brock Purdy. I think there's a reason that they brought in Sam Darnold when they still had Trey Lance. Maybe that means they don't believe in Trey Lance, but I think it also means that they think that Brock Purdy's not the answer either. No, Brock Purdy is not better than Daniel Jones. My guy AB says, do you think we will sign D-Hop? No, I think the Giants are out on the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. We put a video out last week, reports coming out from Ralph Vacchiano, who used to cover the Giants and now covers the NFC East, and he made it seem like the Giants are not all that interested, which kind of stinks to me because I think Hopkins is still a great receiver, and the Giants still need a number one wide receiver, but hopefully that means that the Giants are going to spend that money on an edge rusher like Justin Houston or somebody else, because I think that's the biggest need for this team right now. They need another edge rusher. Love Kayvon, love Aziz. Need someone else, though. It can't be O'Shane Zimenez. My man Mike G, best initials in the game, Brody. What up, MG? He says, the best in the Giants YouTube business, MG. Yes, you are. So what's up, man? I don't want to ask a Saquon question. Thank you. We've talked enough about Saquon. So I'll go with, does Beavers or McFadden start the open inside linebacker spot? There's been a lot of talk about Micah McFadden impressing at Giants OTAs. We're going to be rolling into minicamp. Minicamp will actually be rolling already by the time you see this video. And I believe that McFadden has a big opportunity to really cement himself in the inside linebacker 2 competition. I believe it's going to be between Gerard Davis, Darian Beavers, and Micah McFadden. I think McFadden is the guy that could sneakily win that job. He's someone that I'm impressed with. Wink Martindale sung the praise of him just recently, and I think he's got a good chance. I think he really does. I like Beavers. I'd like for him to be the guy, but I think year 2 in the system for McFadden compared to year 1 where Beavers is coming off an ACL gives you McFadden the edge. But there's not a problem with competition at that spot. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit that big red button. Subscribe. Giants videos every single day on the latest Giants news and rumors. Hit that sub button. Help us get to 30,000 subs. My man Slim Cash. What up, Brody? He says, we have Waller. Barkley not wanting to be a part of this shows his real character. Help take us to the big game, and that gets you paid whatever you want. I don't know if I would call this selfish by Saquon Barkley. You only have so long in the NFL to secure that payday. And while Saquon has been paid a whole lot of money, considering he got a 5-year fully guaranteed deal, being the second pick in that draft, I don't necessarily call this selfish. And I don't think the Giants teammates are too upset. You go look at who was all at Saquon Barkley's. He had a camp for the youth just a couple of days ago, and a whole bunch of Giants were there. Like Wink Martindale was there, Dexter Lawrence was there, Darren McFadden was there, I think Dane Belton was there. There was a lot of people there. Giants love Saquon Barkley. The players love him. I wouldn't call it selfish, my man, but now he misses games. Now he holds out games. I think you could consider that selfish, but I wouldn't consider what he's doing right now to be selfish whatsoever. Corinne, what up, Corinne? Do you think Eric Gray will handle the workload if Saquon doesn't play? I hope so. Saquon Barkley would be the guy that or Eric Gray would be the guy that I would want to get the workload if Saquon Barkley is not the guy. I believe it'll probably start with Matt Breida at being the number 1 back, but I think Eric Gray, the running back you took in the 5th round out of the University of Oklahoma, would be the guy. I believe Eric Gray is going to be a good player for this league for a very long time. Is he Saquon Barkley? No, he's not Saquon Barkley. There's not many people that are Saquon Barkley. But I would want Eric Gray to be that guy. I think he'd fit really well in the Kafka and the current Giants offense. I think he's a good runner in between the tackles. Doesn't necessarily have that breakaway speed, but man, he is a shifty SOB. I want him to be the back. Last question from my man Rob Jigga. Says, just got here. Any news of an extension for Xavier McKinney? Nope, there is no news of an Xavier McKinney contract extension. I don't believe the Giants are going to give him a contract extension till after this year. I don't think that they are very happy with the way it played out with the whole Mexico and bye week shenanigans. Is he deserving? Yes, he's a damn good football player. But I believe he has to rebuild that trust and play one more year before he gets that deal done. And he probably will get that deal done because he's a good football player. And I don't think Joe Schoen is in the business of letting good football players walk out the door. I appreciate everybody who got a question in for today's show. If I missed your question, you can DM it to me over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Give me a follow. Let's talk some ball over there. Everyone keeps talking about a sunburn. I'm not sunburned at all.
A sunburn?
Everybody in the comments is saying I have a bad sunburn. Where am I sunburned?
I don't think he's sunburned.
I guess maybe my arms look red, but I think that's more so just the lighting in here.
Yeah, I saw it in the chat. I was like, what is it? Hold on, I'm going to put you here.
Yeah, they said my arms are red. That's,
I think it's just the lighting.
I think it's just the lighting.
Yeah, it does not look like that in person.
My arms aren't red. But I appreciate you guys looking out for me, man. No sunburn for Marshy.
I don't even see it. It doesn't even look that red.
No sunburn. Oh, your arms are scorched. OMG, you're so scorched. I look bright red? Sorry. I guess I was hanging out with Melissa on the beach too much.
She's trying to get that tan on.
I don't think my arm actually do look red.
Lobster style.
I'll get on our lighting crew in here and let them know that I look red.
Yeah.
Use number 30, Marsh, next time? You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. Oh, man. Type Y if anyone believes Marsh and Seeps were at a nudist camp over the weekend sunbathing. No?
No, we weren't there.
You guys are crazy. I like you. You're crazy, man.
You're crazy.
You're
man.
crazy, man.
Crazy.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy. Who? No, I don't think I saw Mikey.
I haven't seen a Mikey today.
No Mikey over here.
Yeah, no Mike.
John asks, is Waller more of a receiver? I think he's just going to be used as a weapon. I think we're going to see a lot of formations and a lot of personnel groupings with Waller outside and Daniel Bellinger attached in line. And I like that. Get your best football players on the field. Marshall, that sunburn looks bad. Dude, I am not sunburned. Y'all are ridiculous.
I thought it was a bit at first.
I
going
did
on
too.
In the chat.
I guess it does look kind of red on screen, but I'm not sunburned at all. Whatever, though. Whatever. Come on. Oh, man. All righty, we're going to sign off here on the show today. Yes, they did, Bill. Evan Neal had a camp as well, and people went down on that. Get some cream. What do you mean get some cream, dude?
Whoa. Chris, come on.
Chris D, dude. Relax, dude. It's a family show. My grandmother watches this.
I'm trying to keep it PG, Chris.
Yeah. Mark says, don't lie using Cabo. No Cabo for me. There were some people within the Chat Sports Studios, though, that think 2 weekends ago I was out in Vegas, and that's why I got sick. But no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Marshy, I was in NOLA this weekend, and I'm sunburned.
Oh, my God. You guys are ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous. Oh, lordy. Be healthy. Stop aging and get back to your youth. Tree of Life decoded book available everywhere.
What is going on?
This got weird.
This got weird fast.
College.
That's a good question. Colin Johnson or BFW?
It's Colin Johnson. Bryce Ford Wheaton will not make the roster.
So sad.
Like, all of you guys and ladies really fell in love with Bryce Ford Wheaton, a guy that never had more than 700 yards in college because he was tall and ran fast.
That's what I like. Big and fast. That's all you need.
Alex, I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm intrigued. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm intrigued. Respect Pickles, a.k.a. Sarah, says, T for trade him. He'd rather play for the money than team anymore. Bye, Barkley. You are sunburned. I am not sunburned. Oh, Sean Clowney, what up, Brody?
We're about to have a field day with Jack and Sam on the way.
Oh, yeah. I'm about to let them know. Too much red tent. Too much red tent. All righty, we're going to sign off. We appreciate you guys. He says he also got his Danny Dimes jersey this week. Shout out to you.
Alex.
Shout out to you. Rob says, all right, last one. Jay Hay will be starting. Sean says, what's up? Have fun at bingo, guys. Yeah, we're going to play bingo. Corinne says, why did they overpay him? If you want to use the term overpaid, they paid him the money he got because they had to keep him away from other teams. While that could mean the Giants want him on the active roster, I think that more so means the Giants wanted an up-close and personal look at him throughout the NFL summer. And they wanted to make a full evaluation, and they probably had some money to spare at that point. Maybe he does make the roster, but I just don't think he does. Mattel Patel says, you are so sunburned.
It's a bit.
They're so lying.
It's a bit.
Y'all are such funny.
All right, Mr. Rick. All right.
All righty, we're signing off. We'll see you later. Go Giants.